We project the voice of freedom forward beyond ourselves to the youth of today and to the generations of tomorrow.
We're here, we're gay, we're in the PTA. We're here, we're gay, we're in the PTA.
This is war. As far as I'm concerned, there's no room for conscientious objectors. We have got to be involved in this war.
Americans have to understand that this has been carefully orchestrated, it has been carefully carried out, and we are now in the stages of a lot of their agenda being brought to pass. And if the American people don't educate themselves and speak up against this issue, our children are going to be the losers.
Do you understand, America, that 12% of the little boys and girls growing up today are going to be lesbians and gays, and they are not going to be called faggot and dyke and queer and sissy? We are going to save our children!
The impact on the churches is going to be devastating. If a Sunday school teacher, youth director, or choir member declared they were homosexual and the church asked them to resign, the church then would have a major lawsuit on its hands. The churches who refuse to perform homosexual marriages will lose their tax exemption because they have not complied with what the court has declared to be public policy.
It redefines the family. No longer do we have a family consisting of mother and father, children. What you're going to have now is a family consisting of anybody who wants to shack up for a while for whatever reason.
I think our definitions of marriages, of relationships, of families really need to be expanded. We need to acknowledge in a legal and social way the reality of the range of different relationships people have in our society. Men having relationships with men, women with women, men with women, triads, group marriages.
I mean, I imagine if somebody, if everybody was all okay about it, 3 people would be all right.
Love's what makes a family.
There were some threesomes married today. Do you think that's right?
Well, who's to say what's right and what's not right? I think that's what this whole thing is about.
It was their choice.
I can't impose my values on someone else. If it's right for them, then I think that's great.
This is a movement that is mobilized, that has shown, while the right wing accuses us of being anti-family, has shown that we know incredibly well how to build family.
This is Eliza. She's 2.5. We adopted her in Minnesota. And this is Lydia, who's 1, and we adopted her in China this fall.
Is this a family?
This is a family. This is the 4 of us.
In fact, in the inaugural parade, we had a redefinition. President Clinton included a float, Families of America, I think it was. And 2 of the people were 2 lesbians. And the whole intent was to redefine family.
Obviously, homosexuality strikes at the very root of the family, is ripping apart the very definition of family, destructive to family as we know it. Yeah, you bet your life. It's a total rejection of the basic building block of society.
Due to the media's support of the homosexual agenda, the average American has been kept from learning about the dark realities entrenched in the homosexual lifestyle. While not all homosexuals are involved in these excesses, freedom to practice all extremes without restraints are firmly incorporated into the gay political platform.
To most people, when they think about homosexuals, as pictured in most of the media, it's 2 guys, 2 young guys, 2 middle-aged guys, who simply have very deep affection for each other. They want to be partners through life, help each other financially, and so on. The national media does not tell us anything about the abhorrent lifestyle of these people.
Homosexuality tends to be very compulsive, whether it's at an emotional level or emotional and sexual or just plain sexual level. It's very compulsive, very controlling. So, like I said, it could range anywhere from mutual masturbation all the way up to defecating on one another.
The ingestion of feces, that he engages in such things as anal intercourse, that he engages in such things that's known as fisting, in which one partner takes his fist and it's inserted in the anus of the other person.
The ingestion of urine, urinating on one another, it's called golden showers. They do rimming, where they lick one another's rectums. These are things that people really don't realize are going on, and it's all part of the behavior disorder that goes along with homosexuality.
When I first moved to the city, I was very naive about this, but after a couple of years, after I had seen these things happen in bathhouses and stuff, it just gave me the creeps. After a while, I knew this was abnormal. 23-year-old men with colostomy bags. Everybody in San Francisco that I knew was getting into this S&M. It was like a spiral funnel. I mean, everybody was gravitating towards this intense sex.
We call it playing on the edge. And so a lot of people that doesn't appeal to, but that could be a cutting for scarification. It can be breath control, where you actually, you have a person's life in your hands. Heavy whipping scenes leave permanent scars. So, and that is a very normal, extreme end of SM.
We use rope, we use chains, we use whips, just like the people sort of make jokes about, but we use them in ways that bring people closer together rather than move people further apart.
I am into heavy play with whips, props. I like electricity.
Anything that you can find in a hardware store, we know how to play with real well.
These men that have anonymous so-called sex with hundreds and hundreds of different partners, spreading disease from one to the other, traveling across the country, we have not just a moral breakdown, but we've got a very decided health hazard.
I've had so many sexual partners that they're without number. At one point, I know that one night I had at least 50 different partners in one night. I was more normal as opposed to an exception to the rule.
According to the British Journal of Sexual Medicine, homosexuals are 18 times more likely than heterosexuals to have sex with an underage person. In Riverside, California, outraged parents are concerned about the well-being of their children here at this public park where homosexuals openly practice sex acts in broad daylight.
The average is between 100 and 150 men a day that walk down this bike path, one at a time, wearing different clothing according to their sexual perversion, and they take the dirt paths off into the brush, they meet one another, and they do their sexual perversions right there in the open. They're in there for an average of 15 to 20 minutes, then they come out one at a time, walk into the park with the children. I've seen them talking with the children. I've seen them approach children. If it was a heterosexual problem, it would be taken care of and it wouldn't be permitted. However, because these are homosexuals and so many rights and privileges and ordinances, city ordinances, have been provided that protect them, all of the agencies are afraid and fearful to take any action against them.
If you give homosexuals special rights in America, first of all, you've opened Pandora's box to every deviant behavior group logically being able to line up and bang on the same door and insist on special rights for themselves. You have totally destroyed, really, a realistic understanding of human rights.
Homosexuals today should not be discriminated against in ordinary conduct and generally are not. They're entitled to the same constitutional rights of free speech. If anything, they have used free speech to the point where their conduct is probably offensive to most people.
The church, the state, hormones will decide my fate. The church, the state, hormones will decide my fate.